The child scientist theory presents a kind of chicken and egg conundrum to human developmental theory. Are children really displaying a natural aptitude for the problem-solving steps of the scientific method? This would suggest that the scientific methodology is a natural, inborn method of problem-solving that is in all humans. Or it could be that the scientific method is simply the most powerful approach to problem-solving we have developed collectively over hundreds of years, and we are sort of projecting that understanding onto our understanding of how children think. In a sense, it's the old argument. The only tool I have is a hammer, so all problem solving can be treated like it's a nail. If this is the case, then as we progress as a society and develop new methods of problem solving that are more powerful than the present scientific methods, the relationship with child development will fall out of conceptual alignment. Another thing that could happen, if this is the case, would be to drive us to discover even more subtle differences between the scientific method and what children do to solve problems. However, the solution to this chicken and egg problem may have already been found in the origins of the scientific method itself. Well, the historical origins of the scientific approach to thinking can be traced back to the earliest days of Greek philosophy. The modern scientific method traces its roots to a mere century ago. Before the 1900s, scientific practices were more axiomatic and tied to ideas of proof and cause and effect in reason. Hence why the Enlightenment era is also called the Age of Reason. The steps of the scientific method were not fully formalized until the beginning of the 20th century. Rather than a review of the scientific practices of the 17 and 1800s, the scientific method was born out of a study of children. The researcher who outlined these steps was not a physicist or a biologist or a psychologist. It was the American educator and pragmatist philosopher John Dewey. In his seminal book, How We Think, Dewey outlined discoveries into human learning made at his laboratory school. Here we find the first steps of the scientific method identified as 5 distinct steps in reflection. These were the steps of a reflective problem-solving process identified in children and reiterated through a formalized method that can be practiced and refined into a scientific profession. John Dewey's laboratory school was a research-focused school based on Dewey's educational philosophy, which emphasized hands-on, experiential learning and the integration of academics with real-life experiences. Students at the school were encouraged to learn through observation, experimentation, and problem-solving, rather than through rote memorization. The school formally investigated both the development of critical thinking skills and the pedagogy of different subjects, such as science, mathematics, and the humanities, until, of course, it was closed in 1967. Because Dewey approached the subject of education as an integrated study of psychological practice and child development, he was able to see this relationship between problem solving and learning and describe its basic heuristic elements. The secret ingredient is the ability to support a student's natural learning process. When taken together with building evidence across fields investigating the neurological and developmental processes of human thinking, what emerges is a step-by-step methodological approach to problem solving based on our best understanding of how it is done naturally. This would support the child scientist theory's key pedagogical insight that at its root, teaching students involves a simple refinement of a natural skill that is already present. The introduction of metacognition into this process individualizes it by supporting the student's ability to see how their own unique cluster of abilities can be marshaled in the service of this natural problem-solving ability that is inherent in the scientific method.